Hey guys, I am Eric and this is the Existential Nerd. So, bit of a weird topic for y'all. I want to talk about jocks versus nerds. How we're not really different. Yeah, you heard me. Not really. Not different. What am I smoking? You're probably wondering. I'm smoking nothing. I quit smoking a long time ago on whatever. Anyway, the thing I'm getting at on how we're not really all that different is the fact that we have similar interests. In today's day and age, the jocks and the nerds love the comic book stuff. Captain America, Wolverine, it doesn't matter, we all love them. We can literally sit there and discuss the ins and outs of these characters. Granted, the nerds might go into a little bit more detail, but you know what? The moment you go into certain stats, the jocks might appreciate it. It might not confuse them like you think it does. Why? Because the jocks have a little thing on their own. See, another similar ground that we all have besides comic books and comic book films is role-playing. Games, that is. We enjoy games like D&D and stuff on the tabletop with pen and paper, plus the occasional video game style RPG. However, here's the thing, guys. Did you know that the jocks do the same thing? They do. It's called fantasy sports. They tune in every week to their favorite sports game, and they pull the stats for their favorite player to help boost their own team in the fantasy league that they're in with the characters that they've developed based off of those real players. They share the same names and same basic stats to start off each season with, and then whatever stats that they build during the season helps with their scores and their leveling up, if you will, during the actual season. Now, of course, the main difference is that this is kind of a gambling scenario where they earn money, real money, based off of the stats and the characters that they've developed into their team. Plus, they have sports games. Madden NFL, for example, is a great example, actually. In that game, you can actually build yourself a team based off of completely fictional characters and put them in the NFL and go through a complete series of building this team up in these imaginary players to the point of being pro level. And that's not any different from your typical RPG title that comes out on any console you've ever played. So again, we have those grounds. We all have our favorite clothing items, like me wearing my nerdy shirts, Batman, Captain America, Spider-Man, various video game-based t-shirts, etc., etc. Whereas these guys are wearing their jerseys based off of their favorite players. Not different at all. The problem that we have is we imagine that there's an actual barrier somehow, and we don't really have one. That is a self-imposed barrier or wall between us and jocks, or jocks and nerds. Get over it. Literally get over that wall and understand that the field before you, laying on the opponent's side, is pretty much identical to the field that you came from. It just has a different facade, a different look, slightly different feel. We're all into it for the stats and the recognition and the fun and the enjoyment and the excitement and the camaraderie. Jocks like to go to their sports bars and hang out and watch the big game on the big screen, whereas us nerds like to go to the big convention centers and hang out with our friends and meet and do crazy, weird things, and sometimes just get as drunk as the jocks do. Yeah. So anyway, guys, let's get over this. Let's be happy and be one. Let's stop the wedgies and stop the swirlies, because you know what, jocks? We're no different. And nerds, stop making fun of the jocks' low IQ and Cro-Magnon man mentalities, because quite honestly, sometimes the gatekeeping makes you just as ugly. So guys, this has been a bit of a short episode. I do apologize because I don't want to really go into that big of a rant over this topic, because there really isn't a reason for it, and there's no reason for there to be any kind of rift between jocks and nerds, because quite honestly, there are nerds that do the sporting and there are the sporters that do the nerding and stuff. It's just the way the world works nowadays. Lines are blurred. Deal with it. All over the place. So guys, Remember, over at patreon.com/Notes and Nerds, you can support this show plus our other shows here on the Notes and Nerds network through Notes and Nerds Entertainment. Patreon.com/Notes and Nerds. Whether it be $1 and 100 members that do it, or one member and $100 that does it, we aren't picky. We appreciate the effort and we appreciate the support, because that goes into our funding for all of our shows, whether that be new games for retro gaming nerds, covering expenses going and talking to celebrity bands and up and coming bands with Music Hour with Nathan Smith, food for Nom Nom Nerd, our expenses traveling for Notes and Nerds, going to cons and concerts, or just being able to help with making it enticing for celebrities to come beyond the existential nerd. So guys, remember, patreon.com/Notes and Nerds helps us out a lot. I have been having a great time talking to you and ranting a little bit about the no longer existing divide between jocks and nerds. I am Eric, and this has been the Existential Nerd.